The 186th Conference of Oil Producing and Exporting Countries has ended, but the OPEC Plus meeting, including allies, continued, and a decision is expected after the discussion ends. We spoke with Mr. Bala Wunti, the Chief Upstream Investment Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, and we asked him on some of the issues related to overcoming current production challenges.
During the COVID, as you're aware, there was a global destruction of demand and production crumbled. Virtually every supply chain on any economic activities came down. Prior to that, we were doing upward of 2 million barrels as a country, Nigeria. However, with the coming of the COVID, we have to technically curtail our production to meet the quota because there were quota curtailment that were imposed. And the struggle then was how will we be able as a nation to meet our reduced quota? Fast forward, upon the exit of COVID, while demand were growing, we now were confronted as a nation with the problem of security. And that challenge almost crippled our sector. It brought down our production to less than 1 million barrels around July, August of 2022, and the struggle began. NNPC have to, as we have always advised, come together alongside other stakeholders to put together what we now commonly call the industry-wide security architecture. And that security architecture was placed on 4 pillars. One pillar is the industry itself, led by NNPC. The second pillar is the government security and intelligence agency. The third pillar are the regulators, made up of NURPC, the Midstream Authority, NIMASA, and other government regulatory agencies. And the last pillar, obviously, was what was hitherto near absent in our security combination, which is the community themselves. And that we have to bring them together. The combination of that gives us what we call rectangular architecture. And what we have done was basically to overlay that with technology. And that helped us, as we have seen, to detect, deter, and create a very responsive approach, coordinated response that help us to address substantially the issue of that security. And that brought us to where we are today. Today, as a nation, we are doing somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.6 million barrels of liquid hydrocarbon. And it's important to emphasize, when we talk about liquid hydrocarbon, we're talking about dry crude oil plus condensate. And combination of that is about 1.6 on the average. That is a complete reversal from where we were in August last year. And without the industry security architecture revamped, wouldn't have been where we are. We, at one time, were headed towards arriving at somewhere in the neighborhood of 2.5, 2.7 on our way upward to 3 million barrels. That was post-2008, after the subprime decay. However, the impact of our inability to pass the petroleum industry bill creates significant uncertainties on investment that were required to be able to allow for projects to go on that will have led to the growth of that volume. The consequence of that, we were limited to using what we have, which is what is technically allowable for us to produce the hydrocarbon. And as you know, hydrocarbon is a depleted resource, and it continued to deplete. There were no replacement because investment was not coming as a result of that uncertainty. So prior to COVID, we were trying to deal as a country with 3 uncertainties that has impacted our ability to meet our objectives. Number 1 is the PIB that was not fast. Number 2 is the issue of security, which was already showing up its ugly head. And number 3 is our cost environment, which is very, very high cost. These 3 issues, I commonly will call it PSC, PIB issue, security issue, and cost issue. We are trying to deal with it. How do we respond to that? It's well known today, PIB has been converted to PIA, and so we have gotten that box ticked. The issue of cost has been addressed substantially with the introduction of a Nigerian upstream cost optimization program, commonly called NUCOP. That has helped significantly to bring about efficiency in the system, and that issue has also been substantially been dealt with. The last elephant that we're dealing with was what we just spoke a couple of minutes ago, which is the security issue. And the security issue has been substantially dealt with. And recently, just a couple of days ago, Mr. President, Asuwaju Bala Ahmed Tinubu, has further directed that the security agencies should do whatever they can to curtail this menace so that we will be back at where we're supposed to go. With all this uncertainty cleared, it therefore means that we can now look forward to getting or attracting additional investment into the sector, because people will now have confidence that when they bring in their money and they invest, they will not be investing into the hand of thieves, but they will be investing with the hope of getting the benefit of their investment. We also have addressed the security issue, and we are confident that we are on a way forward to our trajectory of growth. As a nation, particularly being driven by NMPC, where we manage about 90% of our production as a nation, our target is that by the end of July, early August, the country production number will hit about 1.8 million barrels of total hydrocarbon liquids. We believe that with what we have installed today, we can go further toward the end of the year to inch closer to 2 million barrels. This we can do with the current investment that we have and the current infrastructure that we have. Based on our technical allowable and commercial allowable, we think we have sufficient bandwidth to be able to do that once we can address some of those issues of security that has basically drilled us. Upon that, we believe as from 2024, investment decision on major projects will start taking place, and some of those major projects will translate into increased volume. We will now be heading to somewhere in the neighborhood of 2.3, 2.5, and that will be 2-3 years after 2024. So we are looking forward to achieving that, and the result of the security collaboration is what actually reversed the trend of our declining production. That we are back to about 1.6 today is the result of that collaboration. How does it work? I told you that hitherto, everybody is working in silos. The securities are working in silos. There is no collaboration with the industry. The regulators are working in silos. And the community were near absent in the whole architecture. What we have done was to bring everybody together, these four actors: the Government Security and Intelligence Agency, the regulators, the industry players led by NMPC, as well as the community through the private community contractors. And then we bring them overlaid with technology. That technology created a lot of portal and platforms, one of which is what we call the collaboration platform, whereby all security issues are now seen on real time. As a country today, we have capability to detect, we have capability to deter, and we have capability to respond. We have seen significant improvement in this response, and it is the outcome of that that has brought about the confidence that we have to hit about 1.8 million barrels by end of July or early August. As of today, this morning, our instantaneous production number is about 1.59, which is basically 1.6. And this is as a result of some of our facilities that are currently undergoing turnaround maintenance, like the Usan, who has capacity to produce 40,000 barrels, is in shutdown for turnaround maintenance, is coming off this weekend. I mean, today, tomorrow, it will be back online. When it is back, it's bringing about 40,000. Some of our producing assets on the Nembe Creek trunk line corridors are already producing. They have been out of production because of security situation. We have our OML 29 and OML 18. They are all back in production. These numbers were excluded from the numbers that I just mentioned, which is the 1.59 that I told you. When you put that together, you are already seeing an increase of close to 70,000, 80,000 barrels. That will take us to about 1.67, 1.68. We have our partner and NNPC company, NEPL. They are bringing out production from oil mill 13. Not only that, they are also bringing some of the wells that were shut down as a result of security situation. We believe they will be coming in with something in the neighborhood of 50,000 barrels. If you put together, you are already heading about 130, 140. And there are pockets of production that are coming. Shell has just opened up Baram, and they are ramping up production on that plant. And once that is done, the 200,000 that we're talking about is very much in sight. It's not something that we're going to do certain action. It's the action that are ongoing almost at the point of conclusion. And we believe all this will be concluded within the month of June. And by July, we should start seeing this volume showing up in our numbers.